Hey there, and welcome back to the Emotionally Intelligent Parenting Podcast. You know me, I'm your host, Stephanie Pinto, and we are always here to chat about all the highs and lows of parenting, and especially from an emotionally intelligent parenting type of lens. But also, I think, how can we handle those moments with empathy, with calm, and with connection? And of course, without the threats and the bribes and the punishment and all the stuff that maybe back in the day we were raised with. Today, we are talking about something super relatable, the spoon theory. Now, I said it's relatable, but you may have no idea what I'm talking about because maybe you haven't heard about the spoon theory before. This was only something that I heard about, I'm going to say, even 2 years ago, maybe. So very far into my parenting journey, but also my professional parenting journey, if that makes sense. It's actually a really cool way to think about your energy, your kids' energy, your partner's energy. You know, those days when you're completely drained or when your child is melting down after a big day. Well, I promise you, this somewhat seemingly little idea could be an absolute game changer for you. It genuinely was for me, my husband, our kids. You guys have, I think, met Alex. He's been on a couple of podcast episodes. He is coming on more because I've been getting such amazing feedback from everyone about him coming on and giving us his point of view and things like that. Spoon theory for us, honestly, it was an absolute turning point where we realized, oh my goodness, this is why, when you have those moments where your kids can do something, that they can get ready for school and put their socks and shoes on and be ready by 8 o'clock. That they know how to put their plates and cups and bowls in the dishwasher. That they know how to brush their teeth and they can do that independently. They've done it before. They've shown you that they can do it. But unfortunately, for some reason, on some days, they just will not do the thing. It is super frustrating. I'm with you in that bucket. So this is the reason why spoon theory was such a massive game changer for us. And I did mention between me and Alex as well as like husband and wife / mum and dad, it's really, really helped us because we started to understand why each other sometimes has more or less patience, has more or less capacity, is more cranky some days, or much more giving and patient. Like it used to really bug me, and I'm sure him. I used to get so frustrated. I'm sure he did, and I would be thinking, like, what the hell's wrong with you? Come and help me with the kids and the bedtime and the dinner time. Like, come on, I've had a big day too. So you can see where I'm going with this. I'm going to stop waffling on, but we are going to talk about what is spoon theory, obviously first thing, but also how we can use spoon theory to help each other as parents, to teach our kids about managing their energy, and to create this kind of like family vibe where I think everyone feels seen, heard, and supported, and that we're all, to some point, flexible and understanding with each other. As always, just before we begin, I want to acknowledge the Darug Nation. They are the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, work, and record this podcast. I want to pay my respects to all First Nations people, their elders, and their ancestors. And I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and I stand in solidarity towards a shared future. Now, just quickly, you may already hear that I have a bit of a hoarse voice because I've had a huge 4 days and I was actually sick yesterday, and I'm recovering now a little bit. So yeah, I hope my voice is going to last for this episode. Thank you in advance for just letting me sound a bit weird, and hopefully you still get a lot out of this episode. Okay, so let's jump straight in. The spoon theory, by the way, if you're like, what is she talking about? Spoons or like the actual, silver spoon? Yes, spoon theory, if you actually think about like the spoons that are on your table, this is what I'm talking about. So I know it doesn't make sense first listen, but bear with me, I'll kind of explain it really quickly. But you can Google spoon theory and you will get a whole lot of like articles, blogs, infographics, all that good stuff. As I mentioned in the intro, I think I said that I discovered the spoon theory for myself a couple of years ago, and it was actually mentioned to me by one of my good friends. I have a lot of amazing OTs in my life, occupational therapists, but I have a good friend, Danielle, and I'm pretty sure she was the one who mentioned it to me in a WhatsApp message, and I was like, what? It was like, yeah, a revelation. So Christine Miserandino is the creator of the spoon theory. She's, I think, a blogger and a writer, and she was explaining to her friend, I'm going to nutshell it for you, by the way. She was explaining to her friend what it is like to live with lupus. So what you'd call like an invisible illness. Okay, so, and a chronic illness, and one that drains her energy on different days. So she was explaining that having an illness like that is like having a certain amount of spoons to start your day with. She was in a cafe when she explained this to her friend, so that's why the spoon analogy. She kind of grabbed some spoons and said to her friend, okay, imagine you start off the day with like 10 spoons and you have to get everything done in that day using 10 spoons, and the spoons represent your energy or your capacity or your ability to do things, right? And it might cost her on any one day a spoon to get up out of bed, it might cost her a spoon to get dressed, a spoon to eat breakfast, and then she goes to work, and then a spoon to kind of do her work during the day, and then she's got to plan dinner, and so on and so on and so on. So that's the same for all of us. However, having that invisible disability, she said, was like if she's having a flare-up of her lupus, then she might start the day with like less spoons, fewer spoons. It also may take her more than one spoon to do a task. Like I think she said if she had sore joints or fingers, she was struggling to do buttons on a shirt kind of thing, that might take her like 2 spoons when it should maybe take half a spoon kind of thing. Also, getting herself ready for the day, packing a lunch, having breakfast, depending on how her lupus is, that could take 5 spoons before she's even gotten to work, compared to, 2 or 3, right? So on any different day, she has different numbers of spoons, and when she has a flare-up, that obviously impacts it and makes things a lot harder for her. So I apply it to my life, my capacity, and my husband's and my kids' capacity to do things and to meet expectations during the day and to like meet demands. But I always think of it in terms of like kids, because obviously that's the work I do, supporting parents and educators, understanding kids and their behavior. And I just think, oh my goodness, imagine if kids just have less spoons than us off the get-go. Imagine if things that are so simple and easy for us, because we are so mature, we're cognitively developed, we have so much more life experience than them. Imagine if we have way more spoons than them and we're expecting them to do the same things with fewer spoons, or expecting them to be able to do certain things like get dressed or share the iPad or put their plate in the dishwasher, like any of those things. We're expecting them to do those things day in, day out with the same capacity, with the same number of spoons, considering that all of us have fluctuating levels of spoons / energy / capacity, right? I hope you guys see where I'm going with that. So I think it's really important to understand a few things that I want to kind of read out to you guys. I made some notes because I don't want to forget anything. We have to, number one, recognize that the spoons are kind of like this limited, finite energy or capacity, okay? I think it's really important to understand that we have to conserve our spoons, right, during the day for essential tasks. Sometimes we need to prioritize things so that we don't run out of spoons. This is like us as parents, as well as kids. I think it's really helpful for communicating our needs to, let's say, a partner, so that we can let them know. And my husband and I do this. We say, babe, like, how many spoons have you got? Or I've only got 1 spoon, like it's dinner time. And the other person goes, okay, I get that. So it's a really non-judgmental way to express how we're going, basically, and what we need help with. And that's like a far cry from saying like, I'm exhausted, you never help with the kids, can you please do bedtime for once, like blah, 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 right? Just think how powerful it would be for one person to say to the other, you know what, honey, I'm running low on spoons today. I wish I could, but I cannot, I don't have the capacity. How awesome. Like how much better would that be to avoid conflict, to avoid like blaming and shaming and stuff like that, and to really just, in a neutral way, let that other person know that you need help, or that you're not going to be able to do it. Maybe you can do it tomorrow. Maybe you could have done it yesterday, but today it's just a no-go. The other thing that I think is really helpful is that we have to understand that sometimes we need this recovery time to kind of build back up our spoons. So this kind of like concept of replenishing spoons is like self-care, right? I was doing a talk a couple of weeks ago at a centre here in Sydney to parents, and we talked about the spoon analogy, and there was this one they were all amazing parents, but one amazing parent said, my teenager told me about the spoons, and she printed a picture, put it on her door of her favourite spoon to really show, okay, I don't have many spoons left, please don't bother me, or don't ask me to do XYZ. It's just a beautiful way to communicate, I'm kind of running low, and letting you know how I feel. I think this is really helpful as well for, without guilt or resentment, being able to divide up tasks based on who has more spoons available. So if I am doing okay with my spoons by the end of the day, and then my husband isn't, and he's had a day where everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and he's drained, and it's just been one of those days, he can let me know, and then I get that, and he doesn't have to feel guilty, I don't have to feel resentment and pissed off. I can be like, okay, cool, I understand you've got 2 spoons left or 0 spoons, I've got a couple more, I've got a bit more energy and I can handle it. I just think that is so much more beneficial than what I was saying before, jumping at your partner for never doing the thing, or leaving it all to you. Maybe they don't have enough spoons left. Maybe you need to talk to them about the spoon theory, send them an article, send them this podcast, or send them a little picture of it. There's heaps of stuff on Google, and say, hey, there's this thing that I learned about, and actually I think it could be really helpful for when we have those days where we need to lean on each other. Wouldn't this be kind of helpful? I know for us, definitely, it has helped us avoid so much conflict, probably arguments, and those resentful conversations where one of us feels really annoyed and they're doing the lion's share. If you're wondering, can we do this with kids? Absolutely. Yes, it obviously just requires a conversation. Depending on the age of your kids, you could use images, you could print stuff online, you could just go and grab the spoons in your kitchen. Pick obviously a good time where you can talk to them together, maybe as a family, about this spoon idea or the spoon theory. Teach them about spoons, so you can use the spoon metaphor to help your kids understand that energy is not limitless, both for themselves and for others too, because this kind of builds this empathy and this awareness as well. And it can also, I think, really help them identify some of these energy draining activities. Sometimes I think really our kids need help to recognize some of these tasks or these situations that use up a lot of their spoons, hello, school. That's a huge one. Even sports, even social interactions, parties, things like that. We've got to balance them with restorative activities. When we restore our spoons, that's a quiet night in. Maybe it's a nap in the afternoon if you have the luxury of having a nap. Maybe it's, a quiet shower without the kids, that kind of whatever it is for you or your kids. I would talk to them and say, what are some good activities or things you can do that kind of give you back some spoons, give you back some energy? And yeah, like I said, go to the kitchen, grab your spoons and move them around and, say, how many spoons do you think it costs you to do this, to do that? The other thing I want to say, I kind of touched on it before, is allowing yourself and other people to have fluctuating numbers of spoons every day. Because imagine if you had a shocking night's sleep. Imagine if you missed breakfast because you were running late because you were tired. Imagine if you forgot, your important thing for work. Imagine if then you get called at halfway through the day because your kids are sick and you have to pick them up from school. By the end of the day, you are probably not going to have 5 spoons left. You'll have 1. You'll be exhausted and you'll be cranky. And, to be able to acknowledge that and have the awareness, this is Emotional Intelligence 101, to have that awareness and go, oh my God, I have had this happen, this happen, this happen. It's noticing that building, that doesn't make sense, building lack of energy. Noticing your depleting energy or your loss of spoons is actually really powerful, because then you get to the point where it's after school, let's say, making this up by the way, and you go, you know what, I'm not going to make that chicken and the broccoli and the, fancy dessert. We're doing takeaway. And then you take things off your plate, which gives you back spoons, or at least limits the spoons that you need to use for the rest of the day. Okay. What else? I think it really helps to encourage self-regulation with kids, meaning you can guide your kids to learn when to rest, when they need to rest, how they can take breaks, even saying no to overcommitments, right? And things that do not serve them. And obviously reinforcing that it is okay to preserve your spoons. Sorry, but that's a light bulb moment for me. It is okay to preserve your spoons. I'm going to say it one more time. It's okay for you to preserve your spoons. It's okay for your kids to preserve their spoons. If they want to say no to something, if they can't meet that expectation or that demand on this day at this time, that is fine. Maybe they could have done it yesterday and that was great. Maybe they can do it tomorrow. Today, in this moment, they cannot. You guys know I'm a huge advocate for Dr. Ross Greene's work. Kids do well if they can. I feel like I am kind of losing my voice now, so I'm going to see if I can kind of wrap this up. The other thing is modeling healthy boundaries. Like using the spoon analogy, right? We can show our kids how to set boundaries around their energy, like taking a moment to rest when they're overwhelmed, or saying, you know what, I need a break. I don't have the spoons. Obviously, then it's going to be like a common language for your family. Maybe not in the classroom, but they can, you can talk to your kids about that or get them to explain the spoons to the teacher. So yeah, I think I want to say the biggest takeaway for me is that we have to normalize energy fluctuations. We have to create a culture where it's okay to have low energy days. We have to emphasize kindness in those moments and compassion, understanding instead of judgment and blame and shame. P.S. I fall into those traps all the time and I get frustrated, and then I have to think and I have to reframe and I have to, reflect. So please don't think I'm coming from this place of I know about the spoons and I use them all the time and I'm perfect, because I sure as heck am not. But honestly, as I said before, it has saved a lot of frustration and anger and resentment and conflict. And I think on the whole, here at home, us four are a lot more understanding. We're modeling it to our kids, and we get when they are, not able to meet an expectation or do a thing. And we don't anymore get frustrated when we think, but you did that yesterday, or you've done it 10 times, you've done it 100 times before, you should be able to do it today. No, because you know what? I can cook a beautiful 3-course meal for my family, finish all my work on time, and get the kids to bed in time. I can do that on maybe one day out of 7, I don't know. But if my husband was to say, babe, that was awesome, kids are in bed, let's go watch a movie, can you do that every night? I'd be like, what the? I'm who do you think you are? That was so much, that took so much energy. That was so hard. I am not doing that every single night. I just don't have the capacity. I don't have the spoons. Okay, so there you go. I would love, please tell me your feedback on the spoons. Do you know about the spoons? Are you going to go Google it now? You can Google spoon theory, Christine Miserandino. It's it's a game changer. And I think it's especially for, I didn't even mention this, oh my goodness, especially for families who have neurodivergent kids or adults in them. Please look up the spoon theory. Okay, so any kind of invisible, it's visible too, but as in, let's say a person has a physical disability, it also applies, but any kind of condition or disability, people around these people need to really know and understand and accommodate the differing level of spoons. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I'm kind of talking Japanese. Okay, the last thing I want to mention, by the way, something super exciting. In the last couple of weeks, my new website has launched. Disclaimer that some of the buttons don't yet work. It's all still a little bit under construction. I'm being super patient as possible, but there are things that don't work. But could you please go on and check out the course page? Because I think we have 5 courses on there. There's obviously raising emotionally intelligent kids. There's an EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques tapping one. There is from reactive to responsive parenting. That actually used to be called How to Stop Being a Shouty Parent. So that's a really awesome one as well. I have decoding and diffusing challenging behavior. So that's looking into the nervous system of when our kids go into fight or flight and they melt down or they're aggressive or they're yelling. And you're like, why are my kids doing that? And what do I do in those moments? So that I'm, meeting them with compassion, love, boundaries, but not the, threats and the punishment. And there is one more that has, I was going to say it's gone from my mind, supporting sensitive and anxious kids. So if you have a kid who is anxious, or has an anxiety disorder, you may really love that one. And the reason I'm actually saying this is because at the moment, like right now, if you're listening to this at the start of December 2024, you will see that they are 50 to 89% off, because it's like Cyber Monday time, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So please go and check those out. If you just go to stephaniepinto.com, you'll be able to find the course section, the course page, I think. I will put the link, the actual link, in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, I'll put it down below so you guys can see it. Please go in and grab whatever you love, because I have never, ever, ever done my courses at such a low price, and I don't know if I ever will again. Like, it's a bit scary. I was like, are we sure we're going to do this? Anyway, so go and check them out. Thank you again for listening. I hope you found it insightful and interesting and maybe a little bit entertaining. I know it can be a little bit goofy and weird sometimes, but you got to kind of find some joy in this crazy journey of parenting. So thank you so much for being here. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Stay safe, guys, and keep raising those emotionally intelligent kids, and be kind to yourself, because you're not supposed to be perfect. You don't have to get it perfect. Be imperfectly human. That's all we can ask of ourselves. All right, take care.